Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Russian Tier 4 light tank, the T-80. Well, is it any good? Well, it's okay. It's not a scout tank like the other Russian tanks, the A-20 and T-50 are, so you're only facing tanks up to Tier 6, whereas in the A-20 and the T-50 being scout tanks, you'll be facing tanks up to Tier 8. So, bearing that in mind, the tank is okay and it gets by alright. If it was a scout tank like the others, it would be an absolute disaster, for reasons which will become apparent. Now, it is an interesting tank though. It has 350 hit points, which is about average for a tank of this tier. Weighs between 12 and 14 tons, which is the second lightest tank in its tier. The lightest tank is the Japanese Keiho. So don't ram anybody in this tank. It has 210 horsepower and a speed limit of 45. Now that's slow. In fact, it is the slowest Tier 4 light tank in the game. And I hear you now going, no way, it's not slower than the AMX-40. Well, on paper, it is. The AMX-40 has a speed on paper of 50 kilometers an hour. However, in reality, it's been a while since I drove the AMX-40, but I think this thing didn't feel as slow as the AMX-40. So maybe it's quicker than the AMX-40 in reality, but it's still a very slow tank. And that is surprising because it looks fast. Just the sloping, it looks modern, and the way the tracks are, it looks like it should be a quick tank, and it's very, very small. Have a look at the size of this. Have a look at something we all know and love, like the T-18 Tier 2 tank destroyer. There's your T-18, right? And there's your T-80. It's a very small tank. So you think it would be quick, but it's not. It's slow. Bit strange. Anyway, it does have a track traverse speed of 52. Which is very, very good. In fact, that's the second best track traverse of all the Tier 4 light tanks. Guess which one's better? The Keiho. It has 60 track traverse, but other than that, it's up there. So it's very, very good. Now, when you combine that with the turret traverse of 45, which is, a little above average, you won't have any trouble getting your gun to point at whoever you want. No one's going to be able to out-circle you or, move faster than you can move your gun. You'll be fine in that respect. Now, the view range of 330 though isn't very good. In fact, it is equal lowest, and it shares that with the other Russian light tanks, the A-20 and the T-50. They all have terrible view range, which does limit their ability as scouts. Now, as well as that, this particular tank has a pretty poor signal range as well, whereas the A-20 and the T-50 have pretty good signal range. In fact, very good signal range. This one doesn't. So the AMX-40 and the Lux do have worse signal range than this tank, but that's about it. So it's sort of the third worst. So it really being slow with poor view range and poor signal range. Thankfully, WG in their wisdom did not make this a scout tank, because it would have just been annihilated. Alright, now the camouflage on this tank though is very, very good. It is in fact the second best camouflage in the game. And can you guess which tank, when I say in the game, in Tier 4 light tanks, can you guess which Tier 4 light tank has better camouflage? Dun, 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 dun. Yes, it's the Keiho. So it is very good camouflage, and that is a blessing for this tank because it has virtually no armor and will explode if anybody looks at it. And it does maintain its camouflage whilst moving, which is good considering it's not a scout tank. Now, the gun depression on this tank is awful at 6 degrees, so it's not a hill fighter. However, a very unique feature of this tank is it has 57 degrees of elevation. That is humongous. That means the gun can point up to about this angle here, where my cursor is now. That's very high indeed. So, I had trouble finding anywhere to utilize that, but if you could utilize that somewhere where you're near the base of a very steep hill or a cliff and you can fire up at people and they can't fire down at you, it could be quite useful. Like I say, if I was going to keep the tank, I probably would stuff around trying to find places where I could make use of that. And if you really like the tank, that's what I suggest you try and do with it. Let's have a look at the grind for the tank. Basically, there's not much to it. Your tracks increase your traverse from 48 to 52. The engine hardly seemed worth it. The radio you definitely need, and then you've just got your gun selection. There's no turret upgrade or anything like that with this tank. Now, early on, you will have the 45mm VT42, and that is quite a serviceable gun while you're trying to upgrade to get the other two. The SH37 I'll talk about last, and the VT43 is just the upgrade from this gun. So basically the VT42, VT43, both very good guns. The VT43 is just a little bit better, that's all. So VT42 has 28.57 rate of fire, which is fantastic. Penetration of 75, which is good at tier 4 and tier 3. Does okay at tier 5, but does lack at tier 6. However, with premium ammunition, you can get it up to 110, which should see you okay for some of the tier 6 tanks as well, even from the front, but from behind you'd be no problem. Now, the accuracy is 0.37, which is not bad at tier 4, and aiming time 1.9 is very good. Once you can, though, I suggest you upgrade to the VT43. It is exactly the same, except that the accuracy improves from 0.37 to 0.34, which is very good, and the aiming time reduces from 1.9 to 1.7, which is excellent. So it makes a good gun an excellent gun. So that's the one I suggest you go with. Only does 55 damage, so people will try and overrun you, but you do have a high rate of fire. If you can stay out of their way, don't let them hit you, you can do all right. Now the SH37 auto loader is, in my opinion, no good. It's a terrible gun. It has 5 shells in the magazine and fires a shell every 0.33 of a second. So in about 1.5 seconds, you're just shooting all 5 shells, and it only takes 4.2 seconds to reload the entire magazine. So far, sounds like a great gun. But here's where it goes wrong. 46 penetration is just not enough. You'll penetrate some tier 3 tanks, you'll penetrate tier 4 light tanks, and that's it really. So it's pretty much useless. And it does 40 damage per shell, which is great, so you would do 200 damage in a burst, but who are you going to hit with it? On top of that, it's got 0.45 accuracy, which is awful. And it has a 2.3 second aiming time, which is also awful. So if you're trying to shoot people at range, which you will lose penetration quickly over range anyway, it's going to be very difficult because you've got such a long aim time. Your chance of getting your aim on a moving target is very difficult. So you have to shoot at close range. Now you've got a tank here that has no armor and it's slow. You can't be getting close range with people and trying to outblast them. You're going to get killed. So, in my opinion, this is the only gun to go with. However, your experience may vary. Alright, back to the tank. I think actually I've told you everything there is to say about the tank. I actually like the look of the tank. It's got a sleek tank and all that, but we'll have a quick look at the armor and tank inspector and then get into some gameplay. Now, my crew currently is 84%, so they'll be 84 or lower, but I'll let you know during the gameplay. And I will be running a camouflage net, binoculars, and a toolkit. And I have fitted also a small repair kit, large repair kit, and large first aid kit. Here we are in Tank Inspector having a look at the armour on the T-80. Now, as I did tell you, it is a very small tank, and that is useful. You can hide behind some very small bushes and circle around some very small rocks. So that is a useful feature, being so small. Now, the armour, let's have a look at the colorized view. Okay, so the lower plate, as you can see, is 45mm thick, and it's quite well sloped, and so it does actually come up alright at 62mm equivalent. And the turret ring is also 45, as is the cupola, which is not too bad. It does have a huge turret ring though, very exposed turret ring. So in their wisdom, they've armoured it, so it's quite clever. And the cupola is actually not badly armoured either, that's quite good. The upper plate is only 35mm thick, but it's well sloped and it's giving us the equivalent of 43mm. The driver has some extra protection of 55. If they hit that, you could actually bounce quite a few shots off that plate. Now, basically with this tank, you will bounce people. I told you the SH-37 wasn't a very good gun, that autocannon. That's the kind of gun you can bounce with this tank. So people who do like those little autoloaders and stuff like that will be firing at you in this tank, and they won't be able to penetrate you. So some tier 3s and tier 4 tanks, you will bounce if they have those sort of weakly penetrating guns. But any tier 5 or tier 6 tank will punch holes straight through you, and any tier 4 person who decides not to use such a weakly penetrating gun will also be able to penetrate you. Now, that said, the upper turret is also, as you can see flashing there, 35mm thick, but it's quite well angled, as we have seen with some of these Russian light tanks. They were very clever the way they did the armor. So even though it's 35mm, it's giving us the equivalent of 55. So you will bounce some of those small autocannon shots. And we can see here the mantlet varies. It's about 35mm, and it does vary. Some places are overlays, and I'm getting 85mm equivalent there, or 70mm of armor. That will bounce a lot of shots. So you can bounce a bit off the mantlet. The sides of the tank are quite weak at 25mm, as you'd expect for a light tank, and the side of the turret is 35 as well, which is pretty good actually for a light tank. And the rear 25, and the rear of the turret is 35, so quite well armored turret. The top deck is 20mm, and the top of the turret is 15, and 20mm on a top deck is actually pretty good for a light tank. So yeah, HE, this probably actually won't stand up too badly to some HE, and it is, I suppose, a fairly hard tank to hit because it's so small. So that said, really I guess the armor's not too bad for a light tank, but it's really only those sort of autocannon type fire that you will have a chance of bouncing. Don't stay out in the open and think you've got good armor. Okay.
Time to roll out.
Okay, the map is Halluf. I'm in my tier 4 T-80. It's a tier 5 game. About half the tanks are tier 5s. And there are also some tier 3 tanks. As you can see, it reached its 45 kilometers an hour fairly quick, and now we're going down a very steep hill on our Halluf. Let's see what we get up to. 58, I think was the top we hit there. The tank is very small, and I'm attempting to show here how the tank can be used for scouting. Taking a big risk cutting across here because it is fairly fragile. So I made it across without being spotted, and it does keep its camouflage whilst moving. Being a little bit cautious, edging around the corner there. And I'm hoping I can start lighting up some people from my heavy tanks on my team and my artillery to do some damage. We don't have any tank destroyers at all on our team. The enemy has a bunch of them. We don't have any, so we've got a lot of mediums. Now, hopefully I can spot something here. Okay, so we spot the UCAR 2 PDR, whatever the heck that is, tank destroyer there. I don't think anyone on our team is going to have a shot on it, unless maybe artillery does. We've also spotted a Matilda on the other side, and we can see their artillery did take a shot at the Matilda, but missed. Fortunately, with spotting, you do rely on your teammates to do the damage, whilst you're taking all the risks. And if they don't do the damage, you don't get any rewards. So he hits me, and I decide to take a shot at him, since I thought, well, by the time he reloads, I'll hopefully get a shot in. And someone on our team did take care of him, so we should get some nice points for that. We did take a hit though for 77 points. Let's see if we can see this Matilda again up here. So far no go. Okay, we've spotted a couple other things. Now I think that was me spotting them. I don't think anyone else spotted them, so it's always hard to tell. Wargaming would be really good if anyone's watching. If there was some way of knowing that you were spotting the tanks and not somebody else, it would be really helpful for scouts. Just so you know whether, because if you're not the one scouting them, well, you'll go somewhere else and try and get some points. But if you think you're scouting, you keep doing it, and if it's not you, you get nothing for the whole game. So yeah, some sort of an indicator that says, yep, you've spotted those tanks, or you're the only one spotting them, or something like that. decide to take a shot here. And it looked like we completely missed. Bit unlucky, I think, on that one. I think it was fully aimed, or almost fully aimed. Now you may have noticed the tank is actually, whilst it's not very quick, especially uphill, the tank still is fairly manoeuvrable. You know, it can turn quite rapidly. In this case, we're using the downhill as our acceleration. See if we can get a shot as Matilda. Uh-oh.
That one didn't go through.
Well, you can see that it bounced. Let's have a look. See if we can see, where did that bounce? We bounced to Matilda. Matilda has great pen. Looks like... Oh, no, that looks like it's gone through that one. I'd say that's the one the two PDR shot us with. That's penetrated our mantlet. I can't really see where that Matilda hit us. Oh, hang on. There it is. Yeah, top of the turret. You can see it there. So it's just skimmed off the top of the turret. And that's where the 2-pounder got us right through the mantlet. And the top of the mantlet, sorry, is where the Matilda skimmed off us then. So it wasn't really the armour that saved us. It was more just the... It was almost a ricochet angle. Well, I suppose it was still the armour, but... Because I normally wouldn't expect to bounce a Matilda, so we were quite lucky there. We've got some other tanks that have moved up now, and they're doing some hitting for us. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be doing the spotting now, so... Oh, I'll get back in the tank so I can see what's going on here. Nothing lit up. So I'll try and move a bit further up here. Still haven't been spotted, I don't think. So I'm going to move into this bush. You can see here how small the tank is, that I can actually move in here, and I'm actually covered from the front and the back at the same time. Or virtually covered from the back. And I'm not sure if I've lit that up or whether the VK that's moved up towards the hill has lit that up. Actually, I'd say the VK has. And that Hetzer, once again, not real sure whether that's me or the other guy. I think the VK's lit them up. At the time of playing the game, though, I wasn't sure. I thought I might have been lighting them up. So I just stayed here. So I might speed this up a little bit to 2 times. So once I see that the Hetzer's gone, I decide to make a move. So I'll go back to normal speed again. The Hetzer would have decimated my tank, so I didn't want to move out while it was still there. As you can see, not real fast from medium tank up the hill. In fact, pretty slow. That's really slow. Okay, we can see a Panzer IV there, and there's Marauder. Would have been nice to have got a shot at his back, but I couldn't get to him. I have to be careful of Panzer IV, he could be firing HE. And we found the enemy artillery. We get a shot in. Another one. Uh-oh. Move, 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 move. Shoot again. Move, move, move. Oh dear. Oh well. Bit of bad luck. Okay, so we ended up winning that game, and I'm just hoping that that game gave you a bit of an idea of what kind of scouting abilities the tank has. And we did spot quite a few tanks, as you can see there. And on the next screen, we finished about middle of the pack for experience, and way down for damage. And let's have a look at the next screen, and you can see that we fired 6 shots, 5 of which were direct hits, and 3 of those penetrated. Damage we did was 160, which is more like 2 shots actually penetrating, so one of them was probably track or something critical like that. We received 3 hits, of which 2 penetrated. We did bounce that one from the Matilda, which was pretty lucky. You can see there at the end the HE ammunition was pretty devastating to the tank. Now we spotted 6, which is very good, and we damaged 2. And spotting damage was 504. At Tier 4, 504 is a good amount of spotting damage. That's quite good. As you can see, forgetting about this reward here, out of 16,500, the repair of the vehicle was only just under 2,000, considering we got destroyed. And ammunition costs, I must have had some ammunition already, so there's no ammunition costs. We didn't fire much anyway. So, yeah, not bad. And it was what did we get? Class 3 with 337 experience. Okay, next game.
Move out.
The map is Tundra. The tank is the Russian Tier 4 light tank, the T-80. And it's a Tier 5 game. Although there aren't many Tier 5s, only 4 on each side. And some Tier 4s and a bunch of Tier 3s. So in this game, what I'm going to do is try and use the small size of the tank and the good camouflage of the tank to be a little bit sneaky and appear in positions that, an unexpected position perhaps, and using my small tank to conceal myself. So I'm taking up this position here. And we immediately get a good shot. However, we also are exposed to the gun. We'll try and get out of the way here, and we managed to successfully extricate ourselves from that situation using good maneuverability, and being a small tank means we can hide in small places. That M2 medium probably spotted us just then, and now we can see there's a Chinook down there as well. Now Chinook just took care of our Panzer 1C, so we're looking like we're in a bit of a dangerous position at the moment. So that guy there is taking shots at me. We managed to put a shot into that M2 medium there without taking a hit, which was nice. Now that Chinook I think passed within 50 metres of us, so we would have been automatically spotted there. Now, I did mention it's fantastic elevation but not good gun impression. Now we got hit. Well, I got hit again by Valentine, so I moved further down. I'm actually decided just to go a fair way down this hill now to avoid that Valentine. And we managed to get a good, some good hits into that Chinook, but that Valentine did get 2 hits into us. From recollection, if it's the Valentine I'm thinking of, there's a tank destroyer and it has pretty good armour, except for its turret is terrible. So let's see if we're still spotted. It looks like we're not. However, the T-14 just passed within metres of us. He's down there now. He's probably auto-spotting us. He's probably within 50 metres again. There's a tank coming for us here. Fortunately for me, he didn't have a lot of health left, or somebody hit him for 113 just before I hit him. I did 22 damage to him, and that was enough to kill him. So we're lucky I had teammates helping us out there. Looked like he was deliberately coming up to get us though. So it looks like we're just spotting this T-14 down here just simply because of proximity. And we've got a Hetzer coming up here, which I think is going to try and take care of him. You can't see it right now, but on the left there's a Hetzer there. There he is. So I think he's going to line up this T-14. T-14 seems more concerned with me, but he's going to be in trouble because we've got a couple of tanks now coming after him. And someone else has put a shot into him as well. Now I'm just backing downhill a little bit.
Enemy armor is hit.
Such a small tank, you can fit into little spaces,
Enemy armor
little
is
ledges.
Enemy armor is
I'm
damaged.
getting nice easy shots here into his deck. I'm trying to set him on fire by getting the engine, but it just doesn't
Enemy armor
appear to
is
be
hit.
working. I've had to roll down the hill now to continue shooting him because my gun depression is so poor. And once again, we don't get the kill, but we did do a lot of damage. As you can see, it takes a while to get back up the hill again. It's not a fast tank, but it is manoeuvrable. And the small size combined with good camouflage does make it a little bit tricky for people to see you. I thought he was going to come into my view range then, but no. Don't you move. Stay still. So we're winning the game. It's 9-6. Not so many tanks around now, so I wasn't spotted then when I took those shots, which is good to know. So that's sort of the second tank that went that way. But he's been killed. One of them's been killed. 10-6. Just seeing if I can get a shot on this guy, but he's not coming across any further. Looks like he did damage to himself, so he probably drove off a ledge and tracked himself. And he's dead now as well. So the enemy have 3 tanks left, yep, 3 tanks. Here's the Valentine that was shooting us before. So if I can get shots into his turret, we should be okay. Unfortunately, due to the gun depression, I have to keep moving, and now I don't have a shot on him. Oh, he's going across the bridge. If I'm quick enough, I'll be able to get a shot. Oh, darn it. So there's the lack of speed showing there. I wasn't able to get there in time to get a shot on him. I mean, it's not slow. It accelerates okay. No, he's dead now. Accelerates okay and all that, but it's just not fast when you compare it to the other tier 4 light tanks. Now they only have 1 tank left. And it's a Stug 3. I won't be able to penetrate a Stug 3 from the front, I don't think. I may well be able to penetrate it from the side, but not frontally. So now I'm just trying to spot it. And I decided to move into the cap, maybe put some pressure on him to come and try and stop us. Now there's a shot hit near me, so I'm going to keep moving. So it looks like he can see us, even though we can't see him. So it doesn't look like he blew his cover when he shot at us. No one else seems to have spotted him either. There is plenty of time if we could go hunting him, but there's no way I'm going to be able to kill him. He's probably going to kill me before I kill him. I mean, he's able to see me as soon as I move from behind this rock. And, you know, I won't be able to see him to shoot him, so I'm just testing air to see if he's coming in, see if he can spot him, but no, just cap it out. Okay, so not a bad victory. Bear in mind the crew skills of all the crew there were 83%, and the game you saw previous to this, the crew skills were all 80%. So obviously things like accuracy and possibly speed over rough terrain and things, and view range and all that would improve, and camouflage would improve with 100% skills. So we see here we didn't do too bad. We damaged a few tanks. Tier 5 game. So we finished 3rd on experience, which is quite good considering who we were and what we were. And the next screen we can see that we fired 18 shots, of which 14 were direct hits, which is very good. 13 of those 14 hits were penetration. So against tier 4 tanks, tier 3 tanks, even some tier 5 tanks, not a problem with penetration with this gun. It is quite a good gun. And very, very, very good rate of fire. You saw when I was shooting into the back of those tanks, it does very well. We did 664 damage, and considering the tank only has 350 hit points, that's pretty good. Penetrations, we got hit twice and both of them penetrated us. We spotted 2, damaged 4 and destroyed 1, that's not bad. And we did a bit of assistance damage, 116, base capture points 50. And you can see here, of the 21,436 we earned for the match, 20,000 was profit. So ammunition is very cheap, tank repairs very cheap, quite a profitable little tank. And experience wise we did 566, and I think that was class 2 if I remember correctly. Alright, that's it for gameplay. Thank you for watching my review of the T-80. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. If you are driving this tank, I do hope you have fun.